I am Princess Meredith Nicassus, Princess of Flesh and Blood. I am faerie, and only part human. But I am not a goddess, and I didn't like these midnight rambles. I liked helping people, but as I'd gotten more and more pregnant, I had worried about the babies, and the men I loved had worried about it, but all they could do was watch over my body until I woke. Still, the goddess had work for me, and that was that. So I walked carefully over the smooth dirt and the rough stones and felt the call, my call, as if I were truly some kind of deity able to answer prayers. Really, I thought I might be more like a human saint. There were tales of saints being able to translocate through time and space. I'd done some reading on them, especially the Celtic ones, and there were some really odd stories. Quite a few saints had been Celtic deities that the human church had adopted. The early church had preferred to make friends of the local deities rather than make war. It was so much easier to convert people when they could keep their local saints' day celebrations. Some saints had appeared in people's dreams, or to lead people to safety, or even to fight in battles, when other witnesses knew they were asleep or wounded. None of the old stories talked about a pregnant fairy princess, but then the church usually sanitized all the old tales. The wind spilled my hair around my face in a mass of blinding red curls, though the color must have been more brown than scarlet in the starlit night. I could see nothing but the spill of my own hair for a moment, but when the wind cleared, there was a figure in the doorway of the hut. I didn't recognize her at first, and then the very darkness of her skin let me know that underneath the desert camouflage, it was Hayes. She was the only female African American among my soldiers. I went to her smiling, and she smiled back as she began to slide down the edge of the doorsill. I wanted to be next to her, and I just was without having to walk the distance. Dream rules worked sometimes in these journeys, sometimes they didn't. I knelt beside her, having to grip the doorway to get to my knees. I was heavy enough with child that it was debatable whether I could stand again, but I had to touch Hayes, see what was wrong. Her hand fell away from her neck, and I caught the dull glint of the nail she'd been holding onto with its leather thong necklace. It was my symbol. I took her hand in mine, and it was slick with blood. They had to touch the nail with blood to call me. That had been true every time. "Hayes," I said. "Meredith, I prayed, and here you are. Wow, you're huge. Must really be twins like the news said." "It is. Where are you hurt?" I asked. She patted her side with her other hand. Her armored vest was there, but it was wet. And even as I searched for the wound, fresh blood welled out. I knew it was fresh because it was warmer than the stuff that had cooled in the night air. "It's deep," she said, voice pained as I tried to find the wound through her clothes and gear. "What happened?" I asked. I wasn't sure that talking was good for her, but having something to think about while I found the wound and figured out what to do about it was better than just thinking about the fact that she seemed to be bleeding to death. Wasn't it? I'd been answering prayers for only a few months, and I still felt out of my depth. I trusted Goddess to know what she was doing, but me? I wasn't so sure about me. I prayed as I found the wound. It was almost as wide as my palm, and blood was welling out of it. Something that held a lot of blood had been punctured. I'd had human anatomy in college, but for the life of me, or the life of Hayes, I couldn't seem to think what organ was on this side of the body. I didn't know what had been damaged, but I knew she was going to die if I couldn't help her. "We were just supposed to take some supplies up to a school, but they ambushed us. Cutest little boy stabbed me because I hesitated. I couldn't kill a child, or thought I couldn't, but they killed Dickerson, and Breck, and Sunshine, and then he tried to kill me, and suddenly he wasn't a child anymore. He was just another murdering bastard." She started to cry, and that made her groan with pain. I prayed for guidance. I was trying to hold pressure on the wound, but without a medical kit, or the goddess granting me the ability to heal with my hands, I couldn't save her. And then I realized that she, Hayes,